I just don't wanna, give an answer yes or no without looking at any dimensions, or have my staff directly look at any dimensions. But would it be amenable if, to you all, if it was a fence, trees, plantings, and or buffer, if a buffer is not feasible?
Well, yes.
And so if you want to make that as part of your motion, we can go ahead and develop a condition that you all recommend for mayor and council meeting.
Yes, yeah.
Any other discussions?
Just one last question. Is this gonna be, the road, is it gonna be technically maintained by county, or is this gonna be private again? So they are gonna be responsible for maintenance of the driveway.
Yeah, and for common developments like this, we have supplemental standards that require that there be a shared maintenance agreement, that it be developed, at time of, like, prior to building permits, so that it's all done at the same time.
All right, if there's no more discussions, I'll take a motion.
So, I will try to get this based on what we've talked about. I will make a motion that we recommend approval of RZR 2026.04.1009, with conditions as outlined by staff, with the addition of, additional condition around either increasing the, buffer at the street, that first lot, in the development, or some additional landscaping fencing to provide some differentiation there, and some additional guidance around, landscaping along the driveway side of the, property for that existing lot.
So we would need to list the concurrent variance in that, or?
Yeah, you can do that separate motion, since it's technically a separate item. But just so I am clear, so your motion for approval for the rezoning includes the addition of a improved buffer at the road frontage along Rock Quarry, West Rock Quarry, and then, for us to look at ways to either provide additional buffering or separation, but from the driveway along the northwestern boundary.
Yes, and that's, I think, more around like thinking about the landscaping and the runoff for the adjacent properties
Okay.
on that side.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, passes 3-2. So now we need to make a motion for,
The variance.
The variance.
Concurrent variance.
we'll make a motion for the variance.
Yes, hold on, let me read that too. Okay, and I would make a motion to approve the concurrent variance for RZR 2026.04.1009, with conditions as outlined by staff.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, that's 3-2. All right, so that brings us to our final case. That is case number SUP-2026.06.1417, applicant Eric Harris, owner Buford Islamic Center, Inc., request a special use permit for a RA 200 zone property located at 3100 Hamilton Mill Road, Gwinnett tax parcel 1001-068, for a place of assembly use with concurrent variances. There.
Thank you. So as you stated, this is a special use permit located at 3100 Hamilton Mill Road for a place of assembly. This request does include 3 concurrent variances. bit. One is to increase the maximum building height from 35 feet to 42 feet. The second is to reduce the landscape buffer from 50 feet to 30 feet. And the third is to increase the allowable lot coverage from 15 feet to 15% to 35%. The property itself is 8.1 acres in size and it's zoned RA 200. It is located within the traditional plus neighborhood character area, and it is in Council District 1. Now, the traditional neighborhood character area is defined by existing single-family subdivisions and adjacent areas that are suited for carefully scaled infill housing. The neighborhoods may accommodate moderate increases in density and compatible housing types, such as cottage courts, courtyard clusters, or senior-oriented small lot homes. The plus donates the city's intent to support modest density options that reinforce community character without introducing urban scale developments and mixed use intensity into this character area. And then the area acts as a stable residential core, preserving character or community character while allowing for small scale improvements in walkability, connectivity, and aesthetics. So as we did in the last special use request, we had two different criterias for special use that we considered. One were the supplemental standards, which include those 5 supplemental standards for places of assembly. One relates to the street frontage, and that is that it have a minimum of 250 feet of frontage and then be located on a principal arterial, major arterial, minor arterial, major collector, or a state highway. And in this instance, the lot does meet both the lot width along Hamilton Mill Road and the road classification. It is classified as a minor arterial. The minimum lot area is met, and that is 8.15. The building placement, whether it is a single occupant building or a multi-tenant building, because this would be new construction, it would be a independent one. The building placement, so all principal buildings shall be located a minimum of 50 feet from any street right-of-way and 30 feet from any side or rear property lines. And let's see, the site plan indicates the building would be set back 50 feet from Hamilton Mill, more than 50 feet, and more than 30 feet from the side property lines. And one thing I should note, these standards are different than the one in the previous special use request due to the scale of the building. It is the size that is making these slightly different than what we discussed before. Buffers, a landscape buffer with minimum depth of 50 feet shall be provided where the place of assembly abuts a residentially zoned or used property. So it is currently surrounded by residentially zoned properties, and this is where one of the concurrent variances is coming into request. They are requesting to reduce the required 50-foot buffer to 30 feet in one location along the northern property line. Let's see, the parking location, off-street parking areas shall not be permitted within the minimum required front building setback. That is met with this request. And then the footprint of any building over 8,000 square feet should be subject to a special use approval. And so this building being proposed is 12,991 square feet, which led to this request. And then again, there are accessory use regulations for a special use permit. And so it relates to the types of accessory uses. So those would have been a lighted outdoor recreational facility, including ball fields or pools, cemeteries or mausoleums, daycare centers, kindergartens, private schools, health services, and social facilities. And none of those are being requested, so that is criteria is not applicable to this request. And then the special use analysis, those are the same that we heard during the last one. Those do not change from special use requests. So whether the proposed special use will be will permit a use that is suitable in view and use of the development of adjacent and nearby properties. Due to the location, staff did say that this is not a suitable location. The intensity of development on that site we felt like was not appropriate due to just the site itself, the variances required. And while some of those existing conditions on the site do create hardship conditions as identified by the applicant, the law is really creating a narrow building envelope. And so it's not really due to the regulations themselves, but more the proposed site design and layout that's necessitating the variance. The rest of the criteria, whether the proposed use will adversely affect the existing or usability of adjacent properties, we did note that this would be a significant increase in the intensity of an adjacent use due to the residential nature of surrounding properties. Number 3, the criteria whether the property to be affected by the proposed use would have a reasonable economic value as currently zoned. In all cases, there is economic value to the existing zoning. It is RA 200. There is a residence on the property, although it would need to be improved. I don't believe it's habitable, but it could be developed with any of the permitted uses within RA 200. The 4th criteria is whether the proposed special use will require a use which will or could cause excessive or burdensome use on streets, transportation facilities, utilities, or schools. At the time of this writing, we did not have a traffic study, so we couldn't, comment directly on that impact. I believe one has been completed and the applicant will update you on that. I haven't had a chance to review it at this time, so I'll let them speak to it. But staff will review the traffic study and incorporate it into the mayor and council staff report. So whether the proposed use is in conformity with the policy and intent of the unified plan and the character area map, and within the traditional and neighborhood character area, it's intended for residential uses, and it does not envision non-residential uses. And then whether there are other existing or changing conditions that might affect this property and either give supporting grounds for approval or disapproval. And just based on the analysis, several conditions we did find support disapproval. The presence of the power line easement and the stream and wetlands buffers on the property constrain the buildable area of the site, leading to the needed variances. The applicant's site, and then with the concurrent variance analysis, we ultimately recommended or found increasing the building height from 35 feet to 42 feet, reducing the buffer from 50 feet to 30 feet, and increasing the lot coverage from 15% to 35%. Just collectively, the variances would allow a scale and intensity that exceeded what was compatible with RA 200. So both for the special use request and the concurrent variance, we recommend.
Thank you. Any questions, staff?
Excuse me. You stole my thought.
Applicant?
I mean, right.
Oh, one thing to note, as we did,
Gentlemen.
and we have a presentation.
Thank you. First of all, not a rezoning, I'm asking for a change of character from RA 200. Places of assembly are permitted under RA 200 with a special use permit. I just want to clear that up. It's not completely unpermitted under the ordinance here. And as staff read out, there's all these criteria that were met. Unlike the other application that we put in, this one we've got everything squared away except for the setback and the height and the coverage requirements. So we're dealing with a very narrow band of issues here. And before I get too far out, and we got this picture on the screen, the tallest part of this building
is ornamental, is not occupied, and under section 230-40.1 of the development ordinance, if it's unoccupied height, then the height restriction doesn't apply. So we're really just asking for two variations, I think. And we've got an engineer who's gonna talk just after me who can confirm that. But all of the variances that we've applied for all the variances we've applied for are created by the lot, shape, size, and features, and those are exactly the criteria that section 270-90.7A2, is what you're to consider when you think of granting a variance. And here's what it says. It says the zoning board shall not grant a variance unless evidence is presented supporting conclusions the variance meets one or more of the following criteria. And section 2 says it's necessary because the particular physical surroundings, the size, shape, or topographical condition of the specific property involved will result in unnecessary hardship for the owner, lessee, or occupants. And here we've got a creek with a setback that runs through the property. We've got a GTC easement that runs through the property that naturally, as staff pointed out, it restricts the buildable area on this lot to like 62 feet if you're to take all that really seriously. And that just makes it difficult for anybody to develop this piece of property in any way consistent with RE 200 other than having a house on it. Now, with the coverage area, it's actually a little bit less than 35% coverage. And the pavement that's required here, and Commissioner Alexander, I heard your, I agree with you on impervious surface. It makes me nervous. But here we're kind of caught, no pun intended, between a rock and a hard place with the city's own ordinances requiring a bunch of paving and a bunch of parking. Strictly according to the terms of the ordinance and how we apply it in the circumstance, we're trying to work with the city to make sure that we don't overdo, but the city itself requires all these impervious surfaces given the use that's applied for here. In terms of the traffic study, engineer can talk to the traffic study. I think there was one accomplished, but it wasn't during school, so it didn't really count. So they're going back to complete a new traffic study during school so we get a more realistic view of what traffic looks like in this area. And to that point, the applicant has hired engineers, architects, a geotechnical firm. They have come out of their shoes trying to work with the city to make this a palatable use for this lot. And spend a bunch of money on it too. So they want to be good citizens, they want to be good neighbors. And if there's any way, I'm speaking for them, but I know they'll say the same thing. If there's any way that they can work with the city to make this happen in a way that works in the context of this lot, I know they're willing to do it. So we hope that you'll recommend approval. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Eric Harris. I'm the engineer for the Buford Islamic Center. And I'm 1308 Loop Circle in Bogart, Georgia is where I'm from. And I'm here to just kind of give you some facts about this. Information based what we based our preliminary design on. Is there a clicker that I can?
Yes, you can just go ahead and tell them to go to the next
Okay,
slide.
wait, go to the next one. You can go to the next one again, everybody knows who this is. They were proposed improvements, 12,000 square foot building, 140 parking spaces, water, sewer, service, stormwater controls. And this image is intended to kind of help give you a picture of what we're dealing with here. The site's very narrow, and that really drives the whole, that really is the driver for us being here requesting the special use and the variances and all that. Can you go to the next one? Just to the picture. There you go, thank you. All right, this picture, these red lines, the bottom red line, top red line of the property lines, you can see the GTC easement in there. Down is a 30-foot landscape buffer. I know it's 30 to 50, but 30 is what we're requesting. You can see here that we have filled up almost the entire buildable area. We're limited by a wetland with a buffer down south. You see a slope going tying down. We can't get in that buffer with the slope. We have 20 feet of fall across the slope, which means to create a flat space, 20 foot, we're gonna have 3-to-1 slopes. That gives us 60 foot we're losing right there. So then we got a 24-foot, drive aisle for life safety for fire trucks and parking. So this is about the narrowest building we can fit on here and make it work with this particular site. Now, can you go back to, sorry, I just wanted to jump to that. The variances that are being requested is a reduction of 50-foot to 30-foot. And I will note that the first time that we had a pre-application meeting with the city of Mulberry, this would have not even required a variance. This didn't become an issue until the moratorium that recently got lifted. Prior to that, this would not have required a variance. It was the changes in the moratorium that made this happen. Increasing the allowable coverage from 15 to 35% and increase the maximum building height from 35 to 42 feet. And I would note that the building height, there's a parapet wall on top of this building because it's a flat roof structure. The parapet wall is to hide air conditioning, mechanical, and all that kind of stuff. The true height of the building is some feet less than 42 feet. And that's for the habitables part of the building, not the dome and the features. Okay, next one, please. As I said, our site is 220 foot wide at the spot where the building is. We're encumbered by the 100-foot GTCs, but wetland buffers, 20-foot fall across the site. There's really not much else that can be done on this site without having the variance, which would, if we had to go back, the building would be reduced to 60 or 42 feet, and it would not be a functional structure. Increasing the 15 to 35%, because of the shape of the site, we have to have a long road going to the back. We have wetland bisecting the site. We can't really, efficient site design practices are you double load your parking on your roads. And that's what we would prefer to do because it's a lot less paving. The lay of the site doesn't allow that. We can't double load. So we have to gain a lot of impervious coverage on the site because we've got such a long driveway. And that really impacts that number a good bit, please. In the parapet wall, it's 42 feet, which is about 4 feet above the true roof. Okay. That was it.
Thank you. All right, with that, I will make a motion to open the period for public comment.
Can I make one more statement?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention the traffic study.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Due to the timeline of this coming in here, we like traffic counts were done last week and the report was really done quickly. I get it that traffic is a big deal. There's nowhere that I go and do this stuff that traffic's not a big deal. Gwinnett County has very exact standards on traffic study. You're gonna do it their way, you're not gonna do it. They're very specific standards. We have a professional transportation engineer that did the study per Gwinnett County guidelines. That traffic study, in a nutshell, says it needs a right turn lane entrance and a left turn lane entrance. So that means it would have to widen Hamilton Mill Road to put a left turn into the site, put a decel lane to make a right turn into the site as well. And these are based on traffic counts. These are based on historical traffic patterns in the area. It's based on solid engineering, not opinion. And the intent is to provide everything that the traffic study reveals for this site. So this site will impact traffic as least as it can.
Question on that.
Yes.
Are you, just so I understand what you're saying, is that it will require Hamilton Mill Road to be widened in this area?
It'll require a left turn lane for northbound traffic. So if you're going north and you're going to go to the site and you're going to turn left into it,
Right.
we've got to build a lane in there to get you out of the travel lane.
Right.
That lane will be an amount wide, I can't remember the number, I think it's 250 feet wide because there's a stacking volume that's required. So it means we'll have to stack that many cars in there so traffic can go around it.
You say we, meaning who's we?
We being the owner, the builders of this site will have to provide that turn lane with enough stacking distance to store cars where traffic can go around it while people are waiting to turn left to enter the site. And likewise, if you're turning right into the site, coming from the north to the south, there's gonna be a 250-foot long right turn lane. So you'll have a car turning right, then you'll have stacking room for other cars to hold there while that first car turns right. So this gets the cars out of the travel lane into the turn lanes, and the lanes will taper, go around it and taper back in. So the improvement to the road will approach 1,000 feet. The lane's not 1,000 feet, that's including taper.
Right, so it's going to
Yes, sir.
widen that road out for 1,000 feet.
It'll be a 500-foot approach, a 500-foot taper,
Right.
and then whatever the loading is. And the loading is cars that can hold it.
Okay.
And that will fit in the right of way.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Alright, so I will make a motion to open the period for public comment. As was stated, with the case and the 3 variances, that will give a total of 40 minutes for each side. So I will make a motion. Do I have a second? All those in favor, say aye. All right, the period for public comment is now open, so anyone speaking for, you have a total of 40 minutes.
Steve Hughes, 413 Four Seasons Court, and I'd just like to reiterate what I said in the previous consideration, that I would welcome the people of the Muslim faith into the Mulberry area. I think they would be a credit to the community, and I see no harm in whatsoever in having this place of worship located on Hamilton Mill Road, when you consider what's down closer to the interstate, and then what's closer there towards the city of Beaufort, the kind of commercial development you've got it in between that place. I see no harm. The traffic situation that has been raised constantly is it's a dilemma for the city of Mulberry in how it was founded, because there was a promise inherent in the creation of the city that somehow the traffic situation was not going to be as severe as it was under Gwinnett County. And you know, any reasonable person knows that if you're going to have development, which you're going to have in order to sustain the city, then there's going to be an increase in the traffic flow. And the problem the city of Mulberry has is that they're dealing with state roads by the Department of Transportation and major arterial roads, and there's nothing on the books to at the present time to allow the traffic that exists now. The roads that exist now are failed roads, failed intersections, meaning that they are handling a volume of traffic that they were not designed to handle. And so I don't, if the reasoning here is traffic, then I think you've got a problem for the city, because anything that you add after this fact, whether it's a subdivision, whether it's a commercial development, whether it is a place of worship, it's gonna add traffic volume to the city of Mulberry. And so I don't know how you're gonna handle that, but I don't think that would be a reason for denying this petition, because if you do, then everything that comes after needs to be denied for the same reason. And there again, I want to reiterate that I think that the Muslim community would offer great value to the cultural diversity here in the area, and I would welcome it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Anyone else like to speak for?
Real quick,
Come on up here, sir.
how you doing? My name is Raheem Abdul. I just wanted to confirm, you mentioned during your presentation that there's an old house there, or house structure.
I could be incorrect.
Yeah, I think there's no house existing.
My
property there,
apologies.
so it's just
Okay.
land with the vegetation. And, as far as the space is concerned and all those things, we did keep one thing in mind, when we were making the drawings and stuff, because just like the engineer mentioned, there's a very limited space that we need to work with. And, somehow it worked out where the road kind of curves and takes us all the way back, and that makes us more in a safety bearing thing where nobody can see. So from outside, we can make it, you know, with the tree brushes, this and that, and all those things, make it still look like presentable under City of Mulberry's requirement for that kind of zoning. And then the road, people from outside can only see a road going and turning this way, and that's all it is. So that's our goal, is to, again, the bottom line is to work whatever it takes to go and go with whatever things require, but at the same time, fulfill what we really need in our community, you know, between the City of Mulberry and Beaufort. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. All right, would someone else like to speak for? All right, I'll ask one more time. Would anybody like to speak for? All right, and if no one else wants to speak for, I will now open to those speaking opposition.
Just to note, there's 35 minutes remaining if there's
For
any
rebuttal.
rebuttal.
Thank you.
I have a question, and I don't know if this is, no one's brought this up, so this may not be the time,
Yeah, if you
but,
want to just come up to the podium here.
what about the noise ordinance? I mean, I know some of these centers have, the Islamic call to prayer, and that's not been brought up at all.
You'll get a chance after. Thank you.
And so can you also introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm
See ya.
Jackie McMahon. I live on, Oak Ridge Drive from Beaufort. So that was one of my main concerns too, is the noise ordinance, since it is residential.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm Dale Barton, I'm at 3680 Tuggle Road. First, could you all clarify the location of the property? Where Tuggle Road comes out onto Hamilton Mill Road, directly across from that, there is a house. And going towards 85 from there, there's a section of woods, and there's another house. So where you are talking about, is this neither of those properties? Farther on south of those properties? Can you point out where Total Road is on that
So
picture?
Tuckle Road is at the very top. So I
Can you go
misspoke.
back a slide, please?
There you go.
It's right up there.
Right up there.
So the house is actually on the adjacent lot. That
okay,
was
but then-
mine.
But then there is a house on, where it's practically in the middle of this thing, unless they tore it down.
No, it's a parcel, there's a parcel actually in between. So it's next door. The White House that's there.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It's
So-
actually on a
So
separate.
you were
parcel.
more under the power lines?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
If you see where the road is and where it flares out,
Mhm.
we had to take a look at the parcel map too.
Yeah.
Because there was, activity on the property where the house was,
Yeah.
but this is not that parcel.
Okay. One of my concerns is that I've been there for 33 years, on Turtle Road, and it has always been a problem intersection. But in the last 5 to 10 years, the traffic has gotten so bad that it is now pretty much impossible to turn left from Turtle Road onto Hamilton Mill Road unless you are in the wee hours of the morning. I mean, anytime from 6 AM on till midnight, forget it. We always go the other way, go around Mark Quarry, Sardis Church, bounce back up. Any addition, not just to traffic quantity on Hamilton Mill, but to activity that causes slowdowns, is gonna make this totally worse. So if, let's say this building is 200 feet up from Tuttle Road, 300 feet up from Tuttle Road, their driveway, and you put a traffic light there, when I try to turn out left from Tuttle Road, I'm not getting on. When that light is servicing the mosque or the assembly building, I'm not getting out. as soon as it turns, all the traffic flood of Hamilton Mill will fill up the road again, and I'm still not getting out. So my suggestion is that there be a traffic light at Tucker Road, which we've been asking for 33 years, and been totally ignored, even though there are frequent rear-ender accidents, people not paying attention at rush hour, heading home, and lo and behold, somebody wants to turn left at Tucker Road, traffic slows down suddenly, and bam, 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 bam. Some of them end up over the edge of the ditch. All we need is a trip light there, so that it, you know, if we want to turn left, it'll trip to green for us and red for them, and we can get out. But believe me, you got a stack of people trying to get into the assembly building. Nobody's getting out Tucker Road to the left. I also missed, what is the acreage of this property?
8.1.
8 acres, okay, thank you. I believe at the bottom of the thing, one of the slides, it's read that you were doing a maximum of one access point. I presume it means traffic access point. I would suggest that having a second access point where it would be an exit lane only would speed up. How many cars did you say this parks? 400?
It was in their slide, I think it was like 100 and.
140.
140, okay. You know, a large number of cars trying to get out 6 times a day, you know, quickly, it would help if they didn't have to sit there and wait for the traffic light. They could just do an exit path going towards 85, I'm sure. In my mind, and I think in the mind of a lot of other local residents, all of this road widening, all the traffic lights, all of that needs to be totally in place before any activity is allowed there. Totally. I mean, I have seen time and time again, like 25 years ago when they built Kroger, the county had, first of all, no turn lanes from Hamilton Mill to Ridge Road, both directions. Then they had gravel turn lanes. Those stayed for 5 years before they ever got around to pave again. When I confronted the commissioners, they said, well, we tried to give them long time periods so they give us a lower price. They had to come in and grade the gravel turn lanes several times during that 5 years just to keep them workable, so you didn't get lost in the chuck holes. You know, that kind of thing couldn't be allowed to fly. You know, this stuff needs to be nailed down, ready to go, tested, all the traffic lights are working, they're installed, lines painted, all that kind of thing. In our earlier discussion of the Ridge Road locations, they talked about it being a limited number of people, 30. Then people testified there were far more people than 30 there. And my concern is the same here. In the case of Ridge Road, they had overflow parking in the entire Kroger parking lot. You know, if you could fit hundreds of people into that small house, you could park hundreds of cars over there at the Kroger parking lot. In this case, at a place that's going to be busy 6 times a day, especially on Friday, especially on holidays, what's the overflow parking? Yeah, all I heard was we have very limited space, it's very narrow, we don't have any much parking. Well, you have 140 cars now, what happens if 280 cars try to come in for one of the major holidays? Where do they go? They just park on the road? Do we have, are they paying for regular, county cops or city cops or whoever off-duty cops to handle traffic? Or is it just gonna be one total mess? I think that was my major points.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
My name is James Z-E-A-T, I go by Jim. And I had a couple questions. For one thing, I have no problem with any religion or anybody that wants to build a a large church and have it in a good area and have plenty of room for parking and everything else. Okay? Problem that I've got is that, in this particular property, it is not the type of property that is necessarily perfect for building this church. I agree with that, okay? They ought to find another piece of property. That's not a reason to cut buffer zones from 50 feet to 30. Either go in there and find a way to build it up, or find another property. Now, we've lived in this area for over 25 years. We've seen a lot of construction going on. And we've seen churches built all different kinds. Even one Hindu temple, I haven't seen a mosque yet, but that doesn't mean that there won't be one there tomorrow. But they were built at a time when everything around it, the better pieces of land, were not already used. So if somebody needs to have X number of acres to build a project this size, to be able to handle it properly, they need to move out a little bit. Now, I realize that if you're buying a flat piece of land, your cost per acre is going to be more than buying one that goes like this. Buying one that has wetlands, you've got to take care of it. You've got to handle that. And hills, things like that. Population, building square footage and everything. If the first floor is 906 square feet, the floor is 6,641 square feet, how can that total 12,981 square feet? I realized that when I went to school, they didn't have the new math. But to me, that would be 18,547 square feet. If I add 11,906 and 6,641. And then if I add on the future expansion, another 7,000 square feet to that, I end up with 25,547 square feet. Now, there may be somebody in here that knows the new math and can explain to me why I'm wrong. But that doesn't make sense to me. So I don't think that this should be a project that should be approved for this size. It doesn't make sense. If the lot is not wide enough to build something as wide as they want it, then they need to make a smaller building.
Thank you.
That's my 2 cents. And why is it? Oh, there we are. And I'll put my 2 cents.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Karen Duncan, and I live over on Thomas Drive. And I have a couple of issues that I don't know the answer to. And I understand you're the investigator who finds answers for everything. Well, you said it. So, one of my issues is Biden, when he opened the gates and too many undesirable immigrants came in. Not everybody, I know that. I know that. So, anyway.
Let's make sure we keep this not anything to do with.
Well, I understand.
Let's keep it towards just this specific case.
And that's what I'm getting to, okay?
And how it relates to zoning and planning.
Well, there was okay, from what I could hear, and I couldn't hear everything people were talking about, the building that they're using now is an old house maybe it's too small, it's not up to code for commercial use and whatever. So there was allegedly 30 to 35 people using that building. And, on Fridays there may have been more. So now they want to build a bigger building, very nice, pretty, bigger building. Which is, you know, there was a line in an old movie many years ago and it says, if you build it, they will come. Well, you know, who is they, how many? Is everybody honest and nice and good? Because we have seen issues around the world.
Ma'am, I appreciate your comments, but I really want, if you have any comments directed specifically towards the planning and zoning, please make those.
Okay.
And not.
Many years ago, in the late 90s or early 2000s, Gwinnett County passed a law that in order to, that you had to be an American citizen to have a, well, hang on. And so we're going to, okay.
I'm not gonna continue this in all place.
Okay.
Because I'd like the next person to come speak.
All right,
Thank
you
you.
want, let me put my name
Yes,
down,
ma'am.
so you can say, we don't like that. But is that an issue for businesses?
Excuse me, sorry.
Thank you.
Just for an update, there's 25 minutes remaining.
Ladies and gentlemen, my pages have already been covered by this young lady and the gentleman from Bogart.
Can you say your name and your address, please?
Dennis Holman, District 1.
Thank you.
And what I want to say is, City of Mulberry, the commissioners have established a code, a strong code and ordinance agreements for this community. Mulberry has to consider construction, traffic, noises, and many other to prevent problems in this community. So with this company, they are project owner, architect, whoever, they are asking for very many variances that y'all seen, they've talked about. That's a lot of variances for this job, this project. They are wanting you guys to surrender these variances so they can squeeze this piece of this project in on this piece of property, which we cannot. We've heard the comments, even from the architect. Yeah, I mean, what did he say? It's not 42 feet, because we only put stuff that, you know, it's air conditioned, this and that. You measure the tallest building in the world. Do they go, oh, we'll do about 3/4, I would say it's tallest. No, they go to the very top. So this is over your limit. Also, their buffers, those are important things, especially button up to residential areas. So all I'm asking is that you guys stay strong, support the people of Mulberry with your ordinances and your codes, and thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm sure y'all are about as tired as I am, so I'll try to make it brief.
You can just state your name and address.
Big one?
Just state your name and address. Thank you.
Okay. I live in North Gwinnett Estates. My wife and I have lived there since 1989, when
What was your name, sir?
Hamilton
I'm
Mill
sorry.
Road,
What was your name, sir?
John Summer.
John Summer.
Yes. And we've lived there since Hamilton Mill Road went from the expressway, well, actually went from the expressway all the way to Buford Highway. And there were no stop signs, no nothing. But in any event, our subdivision has one entrance and exit on Hamilton Mill Road for all of our residents. And I'm opposed to this special use permit for the following reasons. Traffic at Haddon Hall Drive, Toggle Road, on Hamilton Mill Road are already too congested and are dangerous intersections. The building of 900 whatever it was, square feet, with another 7,000 square feet for future expansion, will certainly create more traffic at 3100 Hamilton Mill Road and will make the existing situation more congested and dangerous. I do have a question concerning the broadcasting of the call to prayers 5 times a day. Is that going to be allowed?
The applicant will have a chance
Yeah.
to rebuttal.
Well, anyway, like I said, North Gwinnett Estates has always been a quiet neighborhood with good neighbors respecting and helping one another, and I do not want to see that change. I'm concerned about property values of North Gwinnett Estates, but I'm more concerned with our neighbors across Hamilton Mill Road in the Edenmore neighborhood. The homes at the end of Abelia Drive will have this 1,300 square foot building, 42 feet high, building 30 feet from their 50-foot rear yard property line. And it will be separated by a 6-foot property fence, a privacy fence. And I wouldn't want to try to relax in my backyard and have this my only view. There are also 6 adjacent properties that have not been developed in that area. And that area is completely surrounded by residential properties. And I think they should, all of them should be developed as residential in keeping with the current surrounding area. The land use survey revealed board supported for management growth in ways that complement Mulberry's existing character. When asked where the future commercial growth should occur, most residents preferred concentrating along Brazelton Highway and the I-85 interchange. However, most of the residents indicated they do not support additional commercial growth, underscoring the concerns about maintaining community character through controlled, intentional development. The reason we, as citizens, voted to create the city of Mulberry was to be able to have a local control over this community's strong desire to preserve its natural beauty, rural character, and family-friendly atmosphere. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. All right, how much time we have?
17 minutes.
All right. So, would someone else like? Yep.
I'm just gonna ditto, she said, those are my concerns, and everybody else's. So I'm gonna move on to the questions that I didn't have.
You
My
state your
name is
name again.
Michael
Thank you.
Applin,
Huh?
and live on off Hamilton Mill Road.
Okay.
But just listening to their attorney, the owner's attorney, he's suggesting that they need 1,000, maybe more feet to widen the road. I can't read on here to see, well, how much road frontage does the owner actually have? Cause my question is, if it's over 1,000 foot, where are they getting the property from and how? Is it, and it actually, it's just a matter of opinion from what I've heard. if any of these variances being approved are improvements, actually. Leading me to ask this, why did this property owner choose to buy a piece of property knowing, because they came here demanding these variances to be granted? Why did they buy that piece of property? Why didn't they not go somewhere else and buy the property? I mean, note all these conditions existed. That's my question.
Thank you. All right, we still have time remaining. If someone else would like to speak?
Maybe you guys offer me a job before we're done here. My name is Vicki Miller. I live off of South Puckett Road, which is just around the corner there. And a lot of times I go through that total road, and he is correct, it's very difficult. I avoid it most of the time with traffic and so forth. But I'm not even gonna talk about the traffic at this point. What I'm asking is that you don't allow any business of any kind of that size on this piece of property to be put in the middle of the neighborhood, regardless of what it is, because it's just not gonna work well, and you're going to devalue whatever kind of business that is. If you put something like that, you're gonna devalue these people's properties, and that's going to happen. And, you know, you guys have the control right now not to let that happen. And if you continue to keep up with these variances of this, you know, being allowed the coverage, like they're trying to do to expand it, you know, we're gonna be a concrete jungle just like Lawrenceville before it's over. And these variances, and again, I'll go back to point A on here, you know, you're trying to improve the landscape, you're trying to add additional buffers, you're trying to make it cohesive with what the people want. But then down here, you're saying, oh, well, we're gonna give you a variance, and, you know, we're gonna forget about it, you know, altogether. So what I've asked you to do is just follow the rules there and stick to it, and don't allow all these variances, because if you guys don't get this under control very soon, it's gonna get out of hand. And, you know, it's just not gonna be a desirable area, and you're gonna affect a lot of lives with the economy,